It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Every parent, every student, every government, we all want the same thing: better schools. It's a universal goal. But the big question is, how do you actually get there? Well, in our super connected world, the answer seems pretty obvious, right? Just look at who's at the top of the charts and copy what they're doing. But is it really that simple? Let's dig in.
Why reinvent the wheel? It seems so logical. If some country across the globe has totally cracked the code to amazing schools, why not just take their blueprint and use it? It's a super tempting shortcut, one that promises fast, amazing results. But as we're about to find out, that path is absolutely full of hidden traps.
And this is really where all that temptation comes from. You've got these big international rankings, like the OECD's PISA scores, and they've basically turned education into a kind of global Olympics. So when those results come out, governments feel this intense pressure to climb up the leaderboard and, do it fast.
And that pressure, it leads directly to this really common practice, something experts call policy borrowing. It's become the go-to strategy for any nation looking for that competitive edge.
So what is it exactly?
Well, at its core, policy borrowing is just when a government looks at a successful education system somewhere else and tries to bring those same policies home. We're talking about anything and everything, from how they train their teachers all the way to how they design their curriculum.
Okay, but here's the absolute key distinction we have to make. There's a massive difference between just blindly copying a policy and thoughtfully learning from it. As you can see, copying is just a direct copy and paste job. It totally ignores the local context, and honestly, it has a super high risk of failing. Policy learning, though, that's all about adaptation. It's about understanding the deep principles behind a success story and then figuring out how to make them work for your own unique situation.
The people who study this stuff have actually broken down the whole process of how a policy travels from one country to another. They see it as a kind of four-stage journey. So let's walk through it together.
First up is attraction. A country gets these amazing PISA scores and everyone notices. Then comes the decision stage, where policymakers start debating, hey, should we actually adopt this idea? Step 3 is implementation, which is the really tricky part of actually rolling out the new policy in the local system. And finally, you get to internalization. This is where, over time, that borrowed policy becomes a fully integrated and kind of unique part of the new national model. But, like we hinted at before, this whole journey is filled with dangers, especially for anyone who falls into what we can call the copy-paste trap. Let's take a look at the biggest warning signs on this trail.
So why does that quick fix fail so often? Well, first, context is everything. A policy that works wonders in a small, wealthy, pretty homogeneous country might totally flop in a huge, diverse one. Second, success stories get oversimplified. We might see one shiny feature we admire without seeing the whole complex ecosystem that's holding it up. And finally, implementation is just plain hard. It means real, major changes to teacher training, to funding, to leadership, and you just can't do that stuff overnight.
And this brings us to the real moral of the story. The goal isn't to find some perfect blueprint out there to just copy. No, it's about finding inspiration that you can thoughtfully adapt. That's where the real treasure is.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It really gets to the heart of the matter. Success isn't about finding the right policy to borrow. It's about mastering the art of adaptation. The goal is to be a smart learner, not just a good copier. So, what does smart adaptation actually look like in practice? Well, it means you have to consider all of these interconnected local factors. You've got to account for cultural values, the professional culture of your teachers, the practical realities of budgets, and the administrative systems you already have in place. If you ignore even one of these puzzle pieces, the whole thing can fall apart.
Okay, let's look at a real-world example to see how this all plays out. For years, the world has been obsessed with the success of Finland's education system.
So other countries, they see all the shiny objects. That's the myth of what can be easily copied, right? Minimal testing, tons of freedom for teachers, a big focus on student well-being. But what they miss is the deep, contextual reality that makes all of that possible in the first place: a strong welfare state, an incredible amount of public trust in institutions like schools, and, get this, one of the most selective and respected teacher training programs on the entire planet.
So here's the crucial takeaway. You can't just copy Finland's no homework policy and expect to get Finnish results. It just doesn't work that way. The real lesson from Finland isn't a policy you can steal.
It's a principle. It's about building an entire system from the ground up that's based on deep trust and a highly respected teaching profession. Which leaves us with one last thought. Maybe this whole global race for better schools has us asking the completely wrong question. Instead of searching the world for a system to copy, maybe the best path forward starts with understanding ourselves a little better, and then looking to the world for ideas that can help us build on our own unique strengths. What do you think?